Why difficult books make you smarter than reading 100 easy ones. Imagine two people. The first person reads 100 books this year. The second person reads only 5. Who becomes smarter? Most people would instinctively choose the first person. After all, 100 books sounds impressive. It's the kind of thing that gets posted on social media. It's the kind of thing productivity YouTubers celebrate. But what if the second person spent an entire year wrestling with 5 books that completely changed how they think? What if those 5 books taught them how to understand suffering, how to think clearly, how to communicate better, how to make difficult decisions, and how to understand themselves? Would those 5 books be worth more than 100 easy ones? I think they would, and that's why I believe one of the fastest ways to deepen your intelligence isn't to read more books. It's to read harder books. Books that frustrate you, books that challenge you, books that force you to stop every few pages and think. Because difficult books don't just give you information, they upgrade the operating system of your mind. And once you understand why, you'll never look at reading the same way again. What intelligence really is. Before we talk about books, we need to answer a bigger question. What exactly is intelligence? Most people think intelligence is about having a high IQ, or being good at math, or remembering facts. But I think intelligence is something much simpler. Intelligence is your ability to solve problems. Every day you're solving problems. How do I make more money? How do I become healthier? How do I stop overthinking? How do I repair a damaged relationship? How do I find meaning in my life? Life itself is basically a series of problems waiting to be solved. The more tools you possess, the more problems you can solve. A carpenter with one tool can only do so much. Give him 20 tools and suddenly entirely new possibilities appear. The same thing happens in the mind. The hidden tools nobody talks about. When we hear the word tool, we usually imagine something physical, a hammer, a drill, a saw. But some of the most powerful tools ever created cannot be held in your hands. They're ideas, concepts, mental models, words. Let's take a simple example. Forgiveness. Imagine you've made a terrible mistake, something that happened years ago, and you've been carrying guilt ever since. Without the concept of forgiveness, what options do you have? Very few. You simply suffer. But the moment you truly understand forgiveness, a new possibility appears. You can learn from the mistake without being imprisoned by it. One word creates an entirely new way of solving a problem. That's a mental tool. And once you start looking, you'll see them everywhere. The idea of responsibility, the idea of discipline, the idea of delayed gratification, the idea of gratitude. Each one is a tool. Each one changes how you interact with reality. And books are filled with them. The billionaire and the janitor. Think about two people facing the exact same problem. Both lose their jobs. One immediately falls apart. The other adapts and rebuilds. Why? Often it isn't because one person is smarter. It's because one person possesses mental tools the other person doesn't. One person understands resilience. One understands long-term thinking. One understands that setbacks are often temporary. The external problem is identical. The internal equipment is different, and that difference changes everything. This is why some people emerge stronger from adversity, while others are crushed by it. The difference is often psychological, not physical. Viktor Frankl's discovery. One of the most powerful examples comes from Viktor Frankl. Frankl was imprisoned in Nazi concentration camps during World War II. Imagine the suffering, the hunger, the fear, the uncertainty. And yet Frankl noticed something strange. Some people maintained their humanity despite unimaginable hardship. Others lost hope. What was the difference? Meaning. Frankl famously wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Think about that for a moment. A person working 16-hour days for a dream doesn't experience that struggle the same way as someone forced into it. The suffering may be identical, the meaning is different. Meaning itself becomes a tool, a survival tool, and Frankl discovered it in one of the darkest places imaginable. Why difficult books matter. So if books contain mental tools, why specifically difficult books? Because difficulty is usually a signal that you're approaching the edge of your current understanding. Think about going to the gym. You don't build muscle by lifting a feather. Growth happens when resistance appears. The same is true mentally. A difficult book forces your brain to create new pathways, to think differently, to see differently. That's uncomfortable, but discomfort is often where growth lives. My grandfather and the smartphone. Let me give you a simple example. Many older people resist learning new technology, not because they're incapable, but because learning feels uncomfortable. Every new feature creates friction. Every update feels confusing, so they avoid it. But over time, that avoidance becomes a disadvantage. The world changes while they stay the same. Many readers do the exact same thing with ideas. They stay inside intellectual comfort zones. They read only books that confirm what they already believe. Only books that feel easy. Only books that feel familiar. And because of that, their thinking never evolves. The trap of reading 100 books a year. This is where I disagree with much of modern reading culture. People brag about reading 50 books, 100 books, even 200 books, but nobody asks the important question: what changed? Did your life change? Did your relationships improve? Did your thinking become deeper? Did you become more resilient? Because reading isn't a race, it's transformation. A single difficult book can alter the direction of your life. Most people don't remember the 20th self-help book they read, but they remember the one book that fundamentally changed how they see reality. How to build a difficult book regimen. Here's a challenge. Forget reading 50 books this year. Choose 10, or even 5, books that genuinely challenge you, books slightly beyond your current level. Read slowly, underline passages, take notes, reread chapters, sit with ideas. Treat reading like strength training. Don't ask, how many books can I finish? Ask, how much can I grow? Because growth isn't measured by pages turned. It's measured by perspective gained. Powerful ending. Imagine yourself 10 years from now. One version of you spends the next decade consuming endless streams of easy content. Short videos, quick summaries, comfortable opinions, nothing too demanding, nothing too challenging. Another version spends that decade wrestling with difficult ideas, questioning assumptions, exploring philosophy, history, psychology, science, literature. Year after year, that person acquires new ways of seeing the world, new mental tools, new ways of solving problems. At first, the difference between these two people is invisible. But after 10 years, the gap becomes enormous, because every difficult book leaves a small permanent upgrade behind. A new perspective, a new insight, a new tool, and eventually those tools compound. That's the real reason to read difficult books, not to impress people, not to hit a reading goal, but because every great book expands the boundaries of what your mind can do. And once your mind expands, it's very difficult to go back to seeing the world the way you did before. So choose a difficult book. Open the first page, read slowly, and begin building a mind capable of carrying heavier and heavier ideas. Because the strongest minds aren't built by consuming more, they're built by understanding deeper.